Hello, hello. So I have a question for you guys. Would you work with a real estate agent who does not own a home, who currently happens to rent and lives in an apartment? This is a topic that circulates private real estate networking groups. And quite often, people are either for or against. Even agents have the mindset that you need to own a home in order to be able to work in this field and to help buyers and sellers navigate a real estate transaction. Well, I beg to differ. I'm Connie Ward. I'm a licensed real estate broker in North Carolina and South Carolina. I serve the greater Charlotte metro area across both states. I own my own brokerage. And in this video, I want to talk to you about how to identify if an agent is a good fit for you or not, regardless of whether or not they happen to be a renter themselves, like me. Yes, I said it. I actually live in an apartment. This is my studio in my apartment where my office is located, as well as my YouTube studio, WCAKE, where we stand on credibility, accountability, knowledge, and excellence, always no questions asked. Well, sometimes I get a little bit offended when I hear other real estate agents say, if you don't own a home, you shouldn't be selling homes. And I feel like that is the furthest thing from the truth. No matter if you've never owned a home or if you've owned a home in the past, you've sold homes that were your personal residence and or investment properties, or if you've always rented. I think you can still be an expert in this field regardless of whether or not you own a home. Quite often, people ask, when is the best time to buy? And my answer is universal. And it's always when you are ready, willing, and able. Do you want to own a home? Why or why not? Right? And if the answer is yes, then that is your personal individual decision for whatever reason. Sometimes I feel like people lean too far into a home that you're going to occupy as your primary residence, doubling as an investment opportunity. While, yes, you can earn equity when you purchase real estate, but you can also lose when you purchase real estate. It's more likely that you may attain some level of wealth, generational wealth, something you can pass down, but it's still not guaranteed. However, the alternative of renting, you know that it's a 100% guarantee that you're not going to earn any equity, right? So, your decision on where you buy, when you buy, and all of that is really personal to you, your motivation, and why you want to own a home. So, I'm currently an empty nester. My sons are grown men. They are 33 and 29. They've graduated college and they've started their own lives. When they were younger, it was critical. Like owning a home was the most important thing to me as a parent. And so I wanted my children to grow up in a home. I grew up in a home that my family owned at various stages of my life. Most of my life, I lived in a property that was owned by either my mother or my grandmother. My grandmother is 90, she'll be 94 next month, and she's owned probably 7 properties in my lifetime. My mother has owned multiple properties, right? I'm a former homeowner. My baby sister, who is 18 years younger than me, owns 2 homes. My youngest son, who is 29, owns his home. Many of his college friends own their homes, and I represented them through their transaction. But back to kind of the backstory of why am I even renting, and does how can I talk to other people about the value in owning a home if I personally don't own one? And it's because I'm at a stage in my life where it's not important for me. Okay. Life happens and life be out here lifing, right? And we go through different things in our lives that either our perspective changes, our needs change, and also our definition of happiness and success also changes. And so, as I was saying, when my children were younger, I was married young and divorced early at 30. Okay, so I was divorced at 30. I had two sons, they were 8 and 12, and I got a divorce and purchased my home all in the same month. And I was a single parent with no child support. And I also was in real estate. I've been licensed since 1997. So I was on 100% commission, no health benefits, with two sons that I have to take care of. And I'm buying a home. It was critically important to me at that time when I was about 30 ish when I bought my home because I wanted my children to have that stability that I feel like home ownership provides to children. It's that place that's home no matter what, no matter where you go, no matter what other things you do in life. Everybody has this place that they can come back to that belongs to us. It is ours. It is our safe place, right? It is our refuge. It is our place of joy and celebration. It's our safety net. It provides us with security. And I wanted them to be able to put holes in the walls, right? And make all the noise they wanted to, have a basketball goal, play in the backyard, be in a neighborhood, right? So I lived in a quiet neighborhood in Charlotte and I owned that home for almost 19 years. Okay. And I loved that home and it served a purpose because it provided that space that I wanted for my children, right? Through middle school, high school, and all through college. And my kids are about 5 years apart. So they were never in the same school. Okay, so they were always, in at different levels. So when my youngest son was just starting high school, my oldest son was just starting college. So this was the home that we lived in while my younger son was in elementary school through middle school, my older son from middle school through high school, and most of college for my older son. And well, actually, all of college through both of my children, because I didn't sell that house until a year and a half or two after my youngest son graduated college. This was after COVID. And so it served that purpose. It was that place that we spent holidays, unless we were, at my mom's or my grandmother's, but it was that place that we could entertain family and friends. I had pets. I've always been an animal lover. I had dogs at the time. So I've got two dogs and two kids. I can't live in an apartment, right? That's just not going to work. And I also wanted my kids just to be able to have that freedom and also that sense of home ownership and responsibility that this is ours and we need to take very good care of it. Not that we wouldn't take good care of a rental in our apartment, but it's different when you have children and it's your room, your space. And although I do believe that no matter where your home is, that should be your place. Whether you're in an apartment, whether you're a family or of 10 or one or more or however many, that should be your place and it should be what you want it to be. It should look and feel how you want it to look and feel. But with home ownership comes some privileges that you don't have when you're renting. Also, the noise level, right? And having someone above or below you or beside you. When you have two boys that are very active and, making a lot of noise and all of the things. And I wanted them to just be free to do whatever it was that they wanted to do as they grow and thrive and go through their education. And it was just our place. And it was a very special place. But once my youngest son graduated college and bought a home of his own, and I was in that home, I realized that I didn't love it anymore. Actually, I almost can y'all, I'm an emotional person, but that's how special that house was to me. And I looked at it as our house, right? It wasn't my house. It was our house and it belonged to me and my sons. And my sons and I are very close and we're best friends. And I consider them two of my best friends. And so when my youngest son graduated college and bought his house and moved out, I didn't want to be there anymore. It wasn't special anymore. And I realized all the things that I didn't like about it. Right. And one thing that I didn't notice until after I moved out was that this home, even though it was everything, right? This was a starter home, was supposed to be my first home. And I actually was going to buy another home in the vineyards on Lake Wiley when that community first started the year the market crashed. And I decided to back out of my contract. I was under contract buying a 3-story townhome. It was DR Horton and it was in the vineyards on Lake Wiley. And the market crashed and my world fell apart. Right. So I like to say I've been a part of two of the most historical markets in the history of ever. Right. The crash and then the boom of COVID and everything that came out of that. But this home was a 2-story, 2.5 bath, 1,400 square feet with a full front porch, about a quarter of an acre. I had a beautiful lot, no property behind me. I just had woods behind me. Now, when we moved there, it was just a dirt berm and nothing. And then the whole thing was a complete forest in the back once after being there. For 18 some odd years. And so I got to watch like literally trees grow from nothing to this big to, a tall giant tree, what felt like overnight. And I loved my house. It was beautiful. It was yellow with black shutters and I had a red door and I loved everything about it. I had a big front yard and my grass was always very beautiful. And I had a really big backyard and my kids had a basketball goal for a period of time until neighbors' kids started playing in my driveway. And even when we weren't home and my garage door got tore to hell. Okay, it had dents all over it. So I'm like, you know what? And they trampled over all my shrubs. So that was the end of the basketball goal. I'm like, y'all got to go to the basketball court, to the rec center somewhere, but y'all not playing basketball in my driveway no more. Yeah, I was at mom. But anyway, they enjoyed it while I was there. Okay. And my best friend, and she has 2 sons, and our sons are relatively close in age. They're like probably, I don't know, 25, 26, 20, no, 27, 29, 30, 33, something like that. I don't know, but they're like all in a row. And so I always had 4 boys quite often at my house playing and doing all the things. And that was very special and super, super important. And I love that house. But my house was on a street that you wouldn't really drive on if you didn't live there or you weren't coming to visit someone. So there was really no through traffic. And people were like, oh, that's great. I don't want to be on a busy road. But it was really silent a lot of the time. And like I looked literally out my kitchen window, right? My sink was at the window at the back of the house. And I had a big bay window, eat-in kitchen, and I also had a formal dining room, big living room. And then the upstairs, was kind of cookie cutters, like room, bathroom, and then the bathroom inside of the primary and the laundry room. But it wasn't a long hallway, so everything was kind of condensed upstairs. But downstairs was really wide open. But I love sinks at the window because I'm a hand dishwasher. So I love to look out the window and wash dishes. And then one day when I'm there by myself and there's no background noise, right? Because I'm not a television watcher. So like it was like deathly silent there. I'm still there. I have one dog because my older dog that I had almost 16 years passed away a couple years prior. And I had one dog and it was so quiet. It the background noise was gone, the video games and hearing the chatter and my sons talking to friends and all that kind of thing was gone. And I'm looking out into the backyard and there's nothing. There's just trees. So all I saw every day for almost 19 years was literally the same grass and the same trees and nothing else because I spent a lot of my time in that part of the house. Although, yeah, I went to work and I did other things, but when I'm at home, it was like I was in a cocoon, like a cave. And it didn't dawn on me that that's how I felt until I was the only person living there because now I don't have nothing else to do, right? And I don't have these other people, right, living and breathing and doing peoply things around me. And I decided, COVID happened too. So COVID happened. I lost my job. So initially, I got furloughed, and my husband, my youngest son was still there. So we know COVID was March 2020 was when COVID blew up, right? And I remember it to the day because essentially I was furloughed almost like a week into COVID. And we were initially furloughed with the anticipation of coming back in 45 days. And I'm at home. I get a certified letter in the mail that basically said, effective May 15th, your job doesn't exist anymore and don't come back. And you would have thought somebody kicked me in the teeth. I felt like I had just been knocked down a flight of stairs and kicked. And because I worked for a relatively small company for about 3-ish years, and it was we had about 50 employees, but the majority of them were out in the field across 2 states, so North and South Carolina. So there were about 10 people ish in the office and in the warehouse, because I was in automotive chemical distribution. And we also, this particular company, they own 2 companies that they ran out of the same office. So I was a lucky person that got paid for one job, but I did 2 jobs for 2 separate companies. Yeah, that was amazing. I don't know why I cried when they fired me, which I call it being fired, because of one company, the main company that I worked for, I was the only person that basically they said, don't come back. That was a corporate office staff member. And for them to send me a letter in the mail with no phone call, no discussion, no thanks, it's been great. And I liked my job. It was, I thought I was probably going to retire from that job. I really did like it. I was the marketing manager, and I felt like I was close enough with the owners that it felt very impersonal. It wasn't like I worked for this major corporation with thousands or even hundreds of employees, where that's common that, someone will be laid off or let go. And it's just like, whatever, that person doesn't work here anymore. But I was like shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow with these owners of this company. And when I got that letter in the mail, I was devastated. I was crushed. And it just really hurt me. And yeah, I'm one of those people who I care about those kind of things. That was important to me. And I felt like um it was very impersonal, very mean-spirited, and like I was didn't matter. And so that, and it wasn't because of COVID. I think that they used that as the reason, but honestly, I don't think it was because of COVID, because I had gotten a really great review in February, and I got a raise in February, and here it is March, right? COVID, and then I'm furloughed and then told not to come back, but they didn't go out of business. The other staff members that were on that particular primary team, they didn't get permanently um terminated. And so I took it very personally. And I mean, honestly, I would have been okay if they would have called me. And it didn't really even matter the reason, but to get a letter in the mail that basically says, don't come back, consider this permanent. You're permanently laid off. And it was printed on, I'm not going to go get it, but I still have it. But it was printed on paper that looked like, since I was the marketing manager, we had a big mega super duper fancy printer, right? Because a lot of material I printed in the office that looked like it was sent to a printing company and printed. So we printed and did a lot of things in-house. And it wasn't done on that printer or with quality paper. So it was like cheap, cheesy ass paper printed on someone's home printer that was running low on ink, because the ink was like gray. So I get this, and then they call me Connie, and that's not even my legal name. So you firing me via a letter in the mail and not even using my proper employee government name. Connie Ward, you're fired. Don't come back. That's not what it said, but that's what it said. And I was just like blown away by that. I literally cried probably for 3 months. We were already in COVID. We're already in this scary time. My son's just graduating college. Now I don't have a job, right? Yeah, unemployment was okay, but it wasn't my paycheck and it wasn't going to be forever, right? I'm still technically unemployed, so I'm a unemployed homeowner. Guess what you cannot do when you're an unemployed homeowner? Nobody's giving you a loan. Nobody, you cannot tap into your equity with no job. Okay? So that was a really challenging time and also factored into me deciding that after my son left that I'm going to sell this house, take my cash and run and cash out on my equity. And that's what I did. So that's why I'm a renter. But I'm telling you, I've seen some things, all of the things. And this video is really not about all of the things as being a person that was in the real estate space when the market crashed. And it was also the year that I got my loan officer license. So I was a mortgage loan officer and I kept it for about 2 or 3 years. And then I let it go because I was like, I can't balance and maintain both of these because I'm semi unemployed, living off of my savings. And my oldest son is starting his first year of college. And if you don't know this, if you're a parent, they base financial aid applications on the tax return of your parents from the previous year. So I was making a shit ton of money back then, but now here I am broke, not broke because I had my savings, but going broke, spending all my savings with no job. And now I've got to subsidize my son's college education because he had a partial scholarship. And so while I had a home and I had equity, and I thank God I did not lose my home. And I'm so glad I did not move to a higher price home that I terminated because I probably would not have survived that time frame and I would have lost my home. But I was able to survive because I had a great house with a really low mortgage payment, which was phenomenal. And I didn't have a low interest rate, but of course, back then the interest rates were about what they are now. So I had an interest rate. Well, actually, I take that back because I had done a loan modification. My original interest rate was about 6-ish or 5.875 or something like that. But this mortgage interest rate was relatively low because I had done a modification by this time or a couple of years after that. I'm kind of getting a little bit twisted up in my timeline. But the whole point of me bringing this up is that I've experienced the highs and lows of a market. So I paid $117,500 for my house, right? A 1,400 square foot, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-story house with a 1-car garage on a quarter of an acre, right? Great house, formal dining room, crown molding, wainscoting, vaulted ceilings. Like it was a beautiful house, fireplace, and all of that. And there was a time when the value of my home went down to about 70, 80,000 when the market crashed. It went all the way in the opposite direction. And there were some people, because I was in new home sales, I had sold 40 of the homes in this neighborhood of 80 that had 2 builders. So I lived in the neighborhood that I sold in, my very first neighborhood. And so I knew everybody because I had sold most of them their homes and I was on the HOA. And so I was friends with the whole neighborhood, right? My neighbors were people who I sold them their houses and we became really good friends, like family, especially on my street, the people that I saw all the time. And some people, for whatever reason, had to sell during those years before our homes. So, we bought here, homes went down all the way to the depths of down there. And then they were slowly, at a snail's pace. And some people had to sell in that space. They didn't have any equity. So this is where, even though these anomalies don't happen as frequently, but this is real life, right? Things like this can happen, or you may have a life situation that determines when you need to sell, when you may not have equity. So our property values slowly tick, 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 tick. And then about halfway in, I would say about, when was it? 2008, 9, maybe 2012, somewhere in there, we had a whole revaluation in the county and everybody's tax rates were incorrect and corrected. So we had back pay taxes. So then we got these massive tax bills, right? This was a big deal in Mecklenburg County and Charlotte area. Then we got these massive tax bills that were thousands of dollars that we also had to pay, right? And so while we're navigating a lot of job loss and all the things, and by the way, I did go get a corporate job in this space of time, because I'm trying to pay for my son's college, spending my life savings and all of that. And I took a break. I retired from real estate around that time. But back to the whole equity thing. So over the years, our property value started to come back up, right? I never thought that it would go up as high as it went to, but that was because of COVID and because that massive boom that we had in the market. So without COVID, I would say my property value probably would have came up to about maybe 175, somewhere in there, right? 150, 75 was kind of the trajectory of the gain that in values that we were getting. COVID happened and that it just took off, right? So I paid 117. I was there just under 19 years and I sold in 2021 at 302. So yes, I benefited from owning a home because of when I sold. There are many, many people, neighbors and friends of mine who didn't have that type of equity gain. Some were negative. They were upside down in their homes when they sold. Some made a little bit of money. My mom, who happened to buy a house in my neighborhood, lived in my neighborhood. We lived there at the same time for 12 years. My mom, when she sold, let's say her house was 120, she might have sold at 150, right? So she made about $25,000 or somewhere in there, right? So those were the types of gains that people were having. It took me, let's just say 19 years, because it was closer to 19 than it was 18. 19 years to acquire the kind of equity that some people got between 2020 to like 2022, 2023, right? I just resold a home for a client who bought her house in 2020 and she had a gain of about, let's see, $100,000, okay, in 4 years. Well, it took me 19 essentially to about make that same amount of money. Maybe mine was a little bit higher than hers, but that was over a 19-year period. A lot of people don't stay in their homes for 19 years, guys. Okay, so fast forward to COVID. I don't have a job and I cannot tap into the equity that I do have because I don't have a job. So selling was something that I needed to do and wanted to do. And I had not lived in an apartment in I don't even remember when, because before I owned that home, I lived in a house, then I lived in a townhouse. So it was probably I don't even know, 20 years or 25. I really don't even know, but it was a long, long time. I think the last time I lived in an apartment, my oldest son was maybe 5 and he's 33 now. And I've been here 3 years. So 20 some odd years since I had lived in an apartment. And so I went on the apartment hunt. I put my house on the market. It sold in 5 seconds. And I started looking for apartments and I decided that I narrowed it down between two and I ended up in Huntersville and I wanted a specific apartment. I had a dog at the time and I still wanted enough space and I also wanted to feel like I kind of had a yard, right? In a nice porch. And so I had to kind of navigate around what was available at the time to get the ideal apartment that I wanted. So I landed on the location and then I had to decide on which apartment. And I ended up with an amazing 2 bedroom, two full bath, about 1,200 square feet apartment that has more storage, more space, and more cabinets and countertops than the house that I lived in for 19 years. And I have a really huge wraparound type porch, front door, back door, and I have a 1-car garage. Okay. So I feel like I'm kind of like in a condo. And since I only have like essentially one neighbor, and that's above me because I don't have anybody on one side of me because I'm on the end. And then on this side of me are garages. So there's no neighbors over there. So I feel like I'm in my own little condo kind of, and I honestly absolutely love it. I am so happy here. Yes, I will own a home again, but not right now. Um, Home ownership comes with a lot of responsibility. And this is something that I talk about to my clients all the time. Like, why do you want a home? So, for me, for example, my why was my children, and I wanted them to grow up the way I grew up because I grew up knowing nothing but home ownership. My grandmother was born in 1930 on a plantation in Alabama, the descendant of slaves. Her grandparents were farmers on a plantation. Okay. Her parents were farmers on a plantation. My grandmother, as a child, cleaned other people's houses as a child in Alabama. And she moved to Connecticut as a young woman, and she owned and bought multiple properties in Connecticut by herself. Okay. I don't know how. Well, I do know how, but that's not what this video is about. But she sold a home in Connecticut, bought a home cash in Charlotte, and she owned 3 or 4 properties in Charlotte since she's been here since 1986, because she moved here a year before we moved here. Homeownership is all I know, right? And that's why I think I love it, because it's ingrained in me. It's just a natural progression. It was kind of like I grew up with the mindset that it wasn't the, oh, get married, have kids, and have the house with the white picket fence. That wasn't my vision. My vision was you grow up, you go to college, you get some type of education, you get a job, you buy a house. And that's what I taught my sons. Like, not going to college was not on the table. And I know there are different pros and cons of going to college, and you don't necessarily have to have a 4-year degree to be successful, but that's what I wanted for my children, my sons, right? And that's what I preached to them and talked to them about and told them. And I talked to them about credit and how important it was, and debt and all of that, from probably since they were like 5. I would talk about these things. And it was, you're going to go to school, you're going to be, and my sons were amazing in school. My kids were really great sons, never in a speck of trouble, advanced AP, IB students, excellent grades, honor students, really smart. Not that I didn't have any challenges, raising 2 sons as on my own, with no father presence, because my ex-husband, by the way, when we got divorced in 2003, he never spoke to us again ever. Like, he didn't even say, boo, kick rocks, you stink, nothing, not 5 cents, not $5. It's like we never existed, like we died essentially. And so navigating that and having sons and going through all the ebbs and flows and being a business owner, being an independent agent in real estate on commission only, that was monumental, right? But I held it down. Okay, y'all. So anyway, where did I leave off? Okay, so I picked out my apartment, and I absolutely love not having to do anything. Okay. I will buy a house again when I'm ready, but the grass is always cut. Their shrubs are always well manicured. There's flowers and trees, and they even changed the light bulbs, the filters. If anything breaks, they come fix it. I don't care what it is. I pay pet rent too, because I got 2 cats now. Both of my dogs have since passed away. And I came here with a dog, but my dog passed away about 10 months into us being here. So I had a dog and a cat when I moved here. And my dog passed away, but I still pay pet rent. And so, like, if they tear something up, like my cat scratched one of the screens, and I got a new screen, they just came and replaced it. They replaced the batteries in the smoke detector, stuff like that. All the pest control. They just recently repainted the whole building, the whole apartment complex. And this apartment complex is probably like 5 years old, but they just repainted the whole complex. They do complete like power washing of breezeways, hallways, and all that regularly. We have a pool. we have a movie theater, we have a pet park, we have a pet spa, we have a car wash, we have the clubhouse, we have grills outside, a pergola, and places to sit. It's a beautiful place to walk, and I have everything that I need, and I feel safe. I have neighbors. I get to see people walking by, which I'm going to get to that. And I love my life. I love the freedom that I have because I'm very busy. I don't have time to deal with even calling somebody to cut the grass or doing it myself. For a long time, I cut the grass for exercise. But I don't, I'm not in that space. I don't want to do any of those things right now. I don't want to take care of a house right now. And I was self-employed. So when I decided to come back into real estate, and don't let me forget, I want to tell you about the difference between my house and here and what I get to see and hear being in an apartment. Remind me. So, what was I getting ready to say? Now I lost my train of thought again. Dang it. All right, so let me talk about because I totally forgot what I was gonna say. But let me talk about what I like between here and um this is what I was gonna say. Sorry, I got my train of thought back. I probably should be writing this down because I got all these thoughts and I need to be putting stuff on my notebook. Um, so when you're unemployed, right? You can't buy a house, can't get a mortgage. When you become self-employed, you have to have 2 years tax return. So, I was unemployed and then self-employed, therefore, I could not buy a house. So, some people are like, "Well, why didn't you just reinvest your equity and buy another house?" Well, first of all, houses were triple the price as they were when I bought my house originally, right? And I would have had to use every dime I had and probably would have gotten a shack. So, I wanted my proceeds so that I felt safe and comfortable to start a business. So I came here because I had to, in some sense. I wanted to, and I also really didn't have a choice unless I was going to go out and get another job. And after I was let go the way I was let go, I had decided in my mind that I never, ever, ever was going to work for anyone else ever again because no one on earth was going to make me feel the way that I felt. And I went through a deep depression. I barely even got dressed every day. And it was a really dark, heavy time, and also navigating COVID and all the things that came with that. And I was just very unhappy. And so when I moved into my apartment, I felt like I just came alive. And so that's why I feel like your time is your time, and your reason of wanting to own a home is very individual. It's specific to your needs and circumstances, your desires, right? And so now I never would have imagined that I would want to live on a busy road ever. I am so happy. I don't know if you can hear it because my window's open, but traffic is whizzing by. I get to hear cars going by. I can stand in my kitchen and cook and wash dishes and look out the window because I have a window in my kitchen. Oh, by the way, I got a lot of windows. So I love that too. So I don't feel like I'm even in an apartment. So that's why you need to be thoughtful. No matter if you renting or buying, be thoughtful about where you go and think about all of the things and think about the places that you lived and what you didn't love about it. And so, like now, my cats love to look out the window. That's their favorite thing to do. And there's so much for them to see. There's birds and little creatures going by because it's like I have my own yard. And that was important when I had my dog because I didn't want to have to like walk down a flight of stairs and all that jazz to take my dog to use the bathroom. So it was important for me to be close to grass. But cars are driving by, people walk by because the sidewalk and people are, walking their babies in strollers, people just strolling, jogging, going for a walk. Animals, kids, people, cars, all the things, which is very different than my house because I never really saw people and kids and animals or saw cars driving by. It was just, every now and again. It was literally like just tumbleweeds rolling every now and again. And I didn't realize how understimulated I was and how it was impacting my psyche. I was depressed even outside of some of the things that happened in my life from being in this tunnel without being able to see anything. There's a house over here, a house over there, a house across the street on this like kind of like a dead end, and there's woods behind me. I might as well have been out in the middle of nowhere. And until I came out of that setting, I didn't realize how much it was impacting my mood and my mental state. And when I moved here, I just felt immediately at peace and I felt very happy. And so now I know when I buy my next home what I have to have. And it isn't the garden tub that I thought I had to have when I bought my other house. I'm not even really a bath person. When, when I was a child, the house that we grew up in, one of the houses that I was in when I was a baby, I was like one or so, and my brother and I are 18 months apart. And so he was like maybe two and a half, and we only had a shower. So I was either being washed in the sink or I was taking a shower as a baby. And so now I never really have been a bath person. So those types of things, that's not what my priority is. I know what I have to have in my next home, which will probably be my forever home. Um, and so I know what I want and I know what I need, and I'm willing to wait until I'm ready. One, I'm not ready to give up this lifestyle and all the amenities that I have here. And no, I don't feel like I'm paying 100% interest. I don't subscribe to the mindset that paying rent is a waste of money, because anything that's providing you shelter and providing you joy and happiness and peace, and it's fulfilling a need for you, there's no such thing as that being a waste of money. So scratch that off the list of things and reasons that other people, real estate agents, whomever will tell you about renting. Renting is just like anything else we buy and pay for that we want or need. We need a place to live. And everyone isn't cut out to own a home. And some people buy too high at the top of their budget. They can't even buy a lawnmower, and their grass and their yard is all tore up, and they own a home, but it looks raggedy, right? So you have to factor in all of those things, the maintenance, the upkeep, and all the responsibility. And if I were to buy a house that would give me everything that I want and need and love, I probably would be paying double. So I pay in rent total, including my garage and my pet rent, $2,300 a month. My water bill is usually like $10. My electric bill might be like 30 because I don't run the air. Like right now, I have no air conditioner on because I don't like being cold, right? So it's just me. I don't really use a lot of resources. I don't have the TV on or anything like that. So my bills are relatively like just one big bill instead of like all of the other bills that you have when you buy a house. And this is not to convince you not to buy a house, right? Okay. Because I still want to help people who want and desire to own a home, because sometimes it's just that deep thing inside of you, like many of my clients have, that they want to be a homeowner, whether it's for their children, for themselves, for their family, their spouse, whatever it is, entertaining, not having to have neighbors, not being able to paint whatever ridiculous, crazy colors you want to paint, whatever your reason is. But know all the things that come with it. When I owned a home, I had regular pest control. I had a home warranty that I kept and I paid for every year, right? And lawn maintenance is not cheap. Okay. Especially if you're doing everything and you're doing the treatments and aerations and all of that, and you need your hedges cut and you plant flowers and all the things. Because I got to a point where I didn't want to do yard work anymore after about 15 years. I'm over it. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't love yard work. I'm not doing it. So I had the landscaper, and then my utilities were freaking 10 times what they are here, right? And then of course I had my mortgage payment. And so when you factor all those things in, it's not that much more. But for me to get even just what I have in this apartment would probably cost me $3,500, $3,800 a month. So that's more than $1,000 of what I'm currently paying, right? So I don't feel like I'm wasting money because my happiness does not have a price tag. My peace of mind does not have a price tag. And that's the only thing that's important to me, is my mental health and my well-being and my joy and me being able to live the life that I want to live. And I feel like this right now is giving me that. But I have my eyes set on a couple of areas, two areas. Now that I'm in Huntersville, I love it and I might stay here. And then I also might be going more southwest. But I'm not sure. I don't even really know where I want to live. I lived in Charlotte for 30 some odd years, from 87 to 2021. I don't want to live in Charlotte. And even though one of the communities I want to live in is technically going to be in Charlotte, but it's so far on the edge that's kind of not. But I have no desire to live within like the, inner parts of Charlotte. So I don't know where I want to live. But I know that when I do decide to buy a home, it's going to be what I want, where I want, and it's going to have all the things that I want. And I'm not paying anybody to cut the grass. And I don't think I want a townhome. So I'm going to have a landscaper. And anything else that I think I might need, house cleaner periodically that comes like maybe once a month because I like to clean my own space. But I want somebody to come do the heavy lifting. I don't want to do it. I'm not going back to changing my own light bulbs and my filters and all of that. And people like, "Oh, that's lazy. Who you rather pay rent than change a light bulb?" Yeah. I sure do. And guess what? That's my business. So, I say all of this to say, and with this long ass video, that yeah, and I do cuss sometimes. So, get over it. I have not dropped one single F bomb. And I'm a Yankee. I grew up in Connecticut. So I was cussing as a toddler. I can't help it. It's how I express myself. And I'm very passionate, right? And I know my shit, right? I'm a damn good real estate agent. Okay. Can't nobody challenge me on being a see, I almost did it. Sorry, y'all. Nobody can challenge me on that. Okay. I'm an amazing real estate. I was born to be a real estate agent. It's my passion. I do it because I love it. Even with all the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs, and some of the challenging situations that occur, I love this work, and I have a passion for workforce housing. We're moving away from affordable housing because affordable is relative, but our working class people who have been pushed out of home ownership because of income and or maybe some credit blemishes and the cost of housing. So I've made it my mission to be a solution provider to that challenge. And when I tell you I am Inspector Gadget, I am the Inspector Gadget ninja of tough situations and down payment assistance. Now, that does not mean you can have raggedy credit. I'm not a specialist in challenge credit. I am not. And I'm not an advocate of credit repair either. I think there's a right way to address credit blemishes that are accurate. If you have some incorrect information on your credit report, that's different than you have bad credit because you've made poor decisions in your life, like I did when I was really, really young. Okay? There's a big difference. There are ways, right? And some of it's time is the only thing that can heal it. But I will ride for my clients that are willing to put in the work for themselves because it can be challenging. But if it's something that someone wants and they want it enough that they're going to do all the things, I will help them get there. And that's what I specialize in. I work in all price points, but my heart and my passion is helping the underserved who a lot of agents don't want to work with because it's hard. It's 2 to 3 times the work for half the pay. And that's just what I choose to do, right? And because I own my own firm, I can do whatever I want, right? And so I don't have to split my money with anybody. So it's okay if it's a little bit less because some people are making the same thing because they got to split it with 2, 3 other people, their brokerage, their team, whomever, and pay a lead source. They might end up with 25% where I got 100. Okay. So I get to make all my decisions and I get to build my business and run it the way that I want to run it and serve the clients that I want to serve. And so I just want to dispel all the myths about why someone may be renting, even if it's just because of life happens. We're people, right? We're humans. We're people who get sick. We're people who have job loss. We are people who get divorced. We are people who have illnesses or family members that have illnesses, death, and all the things that impact us just like they do anyone else. So sometimes we might even have to start over, and that's okay. Like another thing I should say that I don't subscribe to is judging other people's journeys. That's not our place to judge why someone is where they are, right? And so I don't do that to other people, and I don't want other people, imposing on my choices, right? Either. And so just make sure that when you're deciding who to partner with, that maybe you interview a couple, two or three or four real estate agents, and you find the person that's your jam. You find the person that resonates with you, that you like and that you trust, and that you are going to form a partnership with, and you become a team. So I like to jokingly tell my clients, we go together, right? I'm not cheating on you. You're not cheating on me. And we are always going to be honest, upfront, and transparent in all dealings at all times, because I cannot help you if you got secrets, right? And I want to know all your business. And I don't stay in my lane either. So people like to say, oh, you're not a lender, stay in your lane. Look, I know more than a lot of lenders know, because I just do. And I'm not saying that like to put down any lenders or to brag or whatever, but because I specialize in the space and I make it my business to educate myself. Remember, we're at WCAKE, where we stand on credibility, accountability, knowledge, and excellence. So I'm always studying, learning, right? There's a whole reason why my brand is cake and real estate, right? It's my philosophy. And I also bake cakes, and I love to bake cakes for my clients. And I'm a damn good baker too. Okay. So I'll feed you and I'll get you in a house. But find the person that you feel comfortable with, that you're okay to reveal all your secrets, because that's the only way that they can help you. And my clients do become very much like family to me. I literally, genuinely love my clients. And I don't use the word love loosely. Now, I don't like some of my clients because y'all put me through it. Okay. But I love you. And I wouldn't go through some of the pain and suffering that I go through if I did not have a genuine love, right, for my clients. And because I can empathize with where people are, even if I haven't gone through the exact thing, because I've been through enough. Okay. I'll be 52 next month. And I've been through enough to be able to really genuinely have a sense for someone else's plight, right? And their desires and their hopes and their dreams, and also feeling like something is impossible and homeownership is unattainable. And I will tell you this, I've done some really tough things. So for some clients that never in a million years thought they would ever own a home, and they are sitting in their homes right now, loving them, thriving, and doing well, because that is my ultimate goal, is to have people that are very happy with their choices, happy in their homes. And my job is to educate and empower you to make the most informed decisions possible when it comes to buying and or selling a home. And I say that with all my heart and everything that's in me. That's my mission. And I feel like when I talk to clients, when I meet people for the first time, that they know that that's not bullshit, right? That they know that I genuinely mean everything that I say. But what I won't do is chase you down. If you ghost me or you being weird or whatever it is, I'm not going to stalk you and chase you and beg you to buy a house. And I'm not going to try to convince you to buy one either. But if you want to purchase a home and you need help, you need someone to guide you, to educate you, and to protect you and your interests, then I could possibly be that person. And if I'm not your jam, don't call me, because I don't want to be working with people that don't want to work with me. Right? So that's all for this video. Thank you so much. If you watch this whole video, you know what? I'm gonna send you a Stanley. I'm gonna put you in a raffle, because I got some Stanley tumblers to give away, because I got a whole collection of them, because I was buying Stanleys. Like, I don't personally even have a Stanley tumbler. I have a no frills, no name fake Stanley that I received as a gift from one of my favorite builder reps. Jen Mathis, and I love it. And that's what I use every day. And I have about 8 Stanleys right over there, and I don't want none of them. But anyway, because I want to give them away. But I really mean that. If you want to be in my raffle, holla at me. Okay. Attend my homebuyer class every month at homebuyerclassnc.com to learn more about the home buying process, to learn about down payment assistance, how to navigate the current market, things to do and not to do, because it's important. The things not to do are as important as the things to do. Okay. So I normally have my class every third Thursday. However, this month my class is going to be on a Wednesday, October 16th, because this is my 18th year as a poll worker, because I'll be working the polls. Ow. So I've been a election official for the Board of Elections. Those polls, get your mind out the gutter. For this is my 18th year, and early voting starts October 17th. So I will be doing that from October 17th until November 2nd, and then I will also be working election day on November 5th. So I'm going to be crazy. So I'm not having class on Thursday because the first day of early voting is Thursday the 17th. October 17th is the first day of early voting. Know before you go. Okay. If you're not sure of your status as far as your registration, know before you go. Early voting is the best time because you can register and you can vote in the same day. You can change your address, change your name, and all the things, but you cannot do that on election day. So try to vote early if you can. Thank you so much for tuning in to my video. I hope you like and subscribe to my channel and share my channel with people that you know and love and care about. I have not been the greatest at being consistent with my videos. I get busy and sometimes I put it on the back burner, but I'm going to be more consistent. That's one of my goals going into Q4. Prepping for 2025 is to be more consistent with my content. But I felt like it was important to do this video because I hear so many stereotypical things about working with real estate agents who rent. And I think I said this earlier, but I do meet clients at the leasing office, like I work there, and we go to the business center. I'm telling you what, I'm getting my money's worth. Okay. And I have had events here as well with some of my colleagues. When I was a mentor with EXP, I had about 14 to 22 mentees at one time, and we used to have a cocktails and collaboration. We did it in our theater room. So I enjoy my environment and where I am right now and where I am in my life. And I hope that if nothing else resonates with you, that does, to do what is best for you when it's best for you. And if you want to become a homeowner in the greater Charlotte metro area, North or South Carolina, either myself or one of my team members will be happy to assist you and support you on your journey. I do have 2 agents on my team. It's incredible realty group. Again, my name is Connie Ward. If you are interested in registering for my homebuyer class, it's homebuyerclassnc.com. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.